Naveen Shekarappa, the young medical student who was killed in Ukraine in shelling as he stood in line for food. His mortal remains have reached his village, Chalagere village in Hassan district of Karnataka. It arrived there a short while ago, and as you can see, a major bandobast has been made for the arrival of his mortal remains. Let's go across to NDTV's Shrija, who joins us from there. And Shrija, the mortal remains had arrived at Bengaluru at around 3 a.m. and we saw many people there paying tribute. Even the Chief Minister was there, and now the mortal remains have arrived in his village. Tell us what's happening and what's planned.
Well, just a few minutes ago, Naveen Shekarappa's mortal remains have reached his house here at Chalagere village in Haveri district of Karnataka. So what we are looking at the moment here is where final prayers have been offered to Naveen Shekarappa, his family members, kith and kin. They've all arrived here. They are at this very location, and also large arrangements have been made at this very spot. That's also because this particular place that we are showing you right now is the VIP entrance, the VIP arrangement that's being made, because quite a lot of senior BJP leaders and leaders across all party lines will arrive to pay their last respects to Naveen Shekarappa. Also, in a short while from now, at around at least 10:30 to 10:45, we will be seeing Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai. He will arrive at this very location to pay his last respects to Naveen Shekarappa. So at this moment, what we are looking at is where the final rites are being conducted as far as Naveen Shekarappa is concerned, and right after where his body is now will be kept after this final rites are performed, will be kept for public viewing for the the last look as far as Naveen Shekarappa is concerned. And from here, his mortal remains, we understand, as per the family members, they say they will be donating his body for research to SS Medical College in Davangere district of Karnataka. So on to my right, if I could show you that there's a huge crowd that we are looking at. They're all they are his family members, relatives, including the people from this village and nearby Chalagere village district. They have all arrived here to pay their last respects. So this entire place has been right now barricaded to ensure there is smooth movement of people as far as entering and exiting Naveen Shekarappa's house is concerned. So huge police deployment as well. At least about over 200 police are being deployed at the moment to ensure that the law and order is not disturbed from this particular place, and there's not really overcrowding. So there is a very smooth arrangement that's been made at the spot. But on to my right, if I could show you, those are the prayers that are being last prayers that are being offered to Naveen Shekarappa. Now, he was a 21-year-old student who was studying at the Kharkiv National Medical University. He lost his life in the shelling in Ukraine on March 1st, and nearly after 20 days, over 20 days later, we're looking at where his body, mortal remains, have reached his hometown. So it was this morning at around 3 a.m. where Naveen's mortal remains reached Bengaluru, that is Kempegowda International Airport, and from there it was transported by road in an ambulance to his village Chalagere. Now, this is exactly the place. This is a house where he spent his childhood after completing his education. That is from, he had left his hometown Chalagere here for Mysuru to study, and after which he had applied for MBBS, where he decided to study MBBS at the Kharkiv National University. He was a final year student, but of course, unfortunately, he lost his life in the shelling, and the distressed parents are at least relieved now. That's what they say. They're at least relieved now that they got their son's mortal remains back to his place.
All right, Srijan, as you said, it's interesting and very commendable in their moment of grief. The family also making this decision to donate his body to science. I read the father said that, because Naveen wanted to pursue his science and medicine and his life was cut short in the pursuit of medicine is why he wants to donate the body for science.
Well, it's truly commendable by the parents where nearly after waiting for 20 days, they have received the mortal remains of Naveen and they have finally decided to donate his body for research to SS Medical College in Davangere district of Karnataka. Yes, just like how you pointed out, even his parents did, of course, say how Naveen Shekarappa, he really wanted to pursue MBBS, but however, he really dreamt of pursuing MBBS right here in Karnataka. Unfortunately, that he could not realize his dream of becoming a doctor in terms of, pursuing MBBS from this very state itself. One major contention what we did witness is that from his parents, they have struggled really a lot, in fact, in terms of financial constraints. His father ensured that, his son did, of course, realize the dream of becoming an MBBS, a doctor. And so we are speaking to his relatives and his parents. What we do understand from them is that they pooled in money, the family members, they pooled in money, they ensured that, because Naveen Shekarappa did not get a medical seat here in Karnataka, and also because the management seat cost him more than ₹1 crore, and since the family members could not really afford that, they chose to send Naveen to Ukraine to study at the Kharkiv National Medical University. In fact, his father also tells us that it was the decision and the choice of Naveen where he wanted to pursue his MBBS MBBS at Kharkiv National Medical University. Unfortunately, his life was cut short, and of course, clearly what he really wanted to, realize his dream of becoming an MBBS doctor has been cut short after he lost his life in the shelling in Ukraine.
That's right. In fact, Shrija, it was a bit of an uncomfortable controversy, the fact that, the father had received this terrible news of his son's death, but at the same time, when he was talking about it, he was also justifying the reasons, why he had to send Naveen to Ukraine to pursue his medical dream.
Well, of course, it snowballed into a huge, while you had the parents over here, there was, confusion, no clarity from the Indian authorities or even for that matter, the Indian embassy in Ukraine that when Naveen Shekarappa's body will arrive to his hometown. It was at that point in time where we saw the entire controversy about why students choose to study in Ukraine clearly snowballed, because there were certain questions also being raised, because is Karnataka, for example, is Karnataka really not providing that kind of a space or a conducive environment so that those students, even those students coming from the lower middle class family, won't they be able to afford a medical seat? Because that was a controversy clearly snowballed into a huge political one. We did, of course, see how Union Minister Mr. Prahlad Joshi, he also stoked a controversy by making a statement that yes, students who go to Ukraine to pursue MBBS are the same students who are not able to clear the competitive exams. So that was such kind of answers that we had received from the political leaders here. So also speaking on that same, we understand from Shekarappa, who's Naveen's father, he did of course say yes, he did mention the fact that they a seat. Now remember the seat over here, when we spoke to quite a lot of students as to why exactly they choose basically to go to Ukraine is because one medical seat that we're talking about at least costs over 1 crore to 1.5 crore. Now that is not the kind of money really, especially those families or the students who come from middle class or lower middle class families. While we did of course speak to quite other few students who did from some of the lower middle middle class families and middle class families. Now those students, what they tell us is that, though their parents have been, the mothers have been a homemaker or father who's been into farming or an agriculturist, they say they have taken a lump sum amount in terms of loans to ensure that their kids study here in Karnataka itself. But in case of Naveen, we understand the father really was not really in a position to take that loan to ensure that his son could study here, by paying nearly 1.5 crore rupees for a management seat of MBBS. Instead, pulled in money from his relatives and ensure at least Naveen could become a doctor just in a matter of 25 to 30 lakhs by studying at Kharkiv National Medical University in Ukraine.
All right, Shrija, thanks so much for joining us from the village of Naveen Shekarappa, and his mortal remains arrived there a short while ago. You can hear some prayers being offered, and many people have come there to pay their last respects. And as Shrija was telling us, it's quite admirable that Naveen's family, given that his medical dream was cut short when he was killed in Kharkiv in Ukraine, that they want to donate his body now to medicine. It will be donated to a medical college. But for now, as you can see, many people there paying tribute. The Chief Minister will also be arriving later this morning. He was there in Bengaluru when the body arrived first at the airport in Bengaluru at 3 in the morning. And he also thanked the Prime Minister for helping get the mortal remains back to India.
मैं पूरा कर्नाटक के तरफ से उनको धन्यवाद देता हूं। ये जो नवीन का जो पार्थिव शरीर है ये लाने का तो जस्ट इम्पॉसिबल था। नरेंद्र मोदी जी, जयशंकर और पूरे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के जो ऑफिसर्स है उन्होंने करके दिखाया है।